Hi, I'm Heather,
And I'm Amy.
and this is Ever So Clever Conversations with Amy and Heather, the experienced empaths.
And you're joining us today for episode 21. And the theme is about connections and the empath and the importance of that. Heather and I have come together after having many conversations and realizing other people might want to hear some of these conversations. We are experienced empaths and not experts, but we've been living as empathic people or highly sensitives for our entire life and recognize this importance to help show other highly sensitives and empaths how to thrive during these turbulent times.
That's right. And Amy is a traveling empath. she's coming
Well,
from
I am.
to
So if
us.
it's body,
She's coming
yeah.
to us from a different location, but you might recognize it because it's been one that you've been to before.
Yep.
Yep.
It's COVID, so I have to limit what I do.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yes.
Connection in the empath. Um, I was just thinking of my own life, of the different connections I've had. And I feel like as empaths, it's hard sometimes to make deep connections with the right people. And my pattern in life was, and it's kind of changed, was to be friendly to everybody. And so I was one of those that had many groups of friends. And I've been thinking about that. And I think part of it was people pleasing, which I was talking about lately in my Facebook community and a little bit too in our Facebook page. But I think I just wanted to be friends with everyone and I wanted everyone to like me. But I wasn't looking at what I needed for friendship and connections. And as I've become older or, more mature too, I've learned that I really do want specific type of friendships and specific type of people in my life.
Heather, I think that's really an important thing to say, especially as we age, we tend to refine some of those things. And I think particularly the highly sensitive and the empathic person, we have a lot of experience and wisdom, and we need certain people work and certain people don't. I am a different type of horse. I am one who I've always had a lot of people around me. And at points, actually, I didn't for a time when my kids were younger. It was just too much to manage, I guess. But that importance of having different groups of friends for different reasons has always been quite important to me. Or I think of it now like a puzzle or a pie where I have these sections that these people are able to meet my needs and I'm able to meet theirs. And I think that's sort of me in midlife reevaluating what are my needs and how I need a lot more play than I've ever, I think, had or I've had in a long time. So I'm looking at my friendships for that too. Who supports me? Like, Heather, you support me in business, and so do a handful of other people. And then who do I support and share time with that brings the playfulness and brings the curiosity and brings the travel and all the components of who I am in a dynamic way. And I never settled, I think, in relationships. Instead, I wasn't willing to please. If anything, I would push people away more. I was kind of the opposite and hyper cautious about people. I have a big, prick up my ears. Something feels off a little bit. So if anything, I was the opposite, not a pleaser, but way overcautious through my life.
See, and I think that's why I love when we have conversations because we have similarities, yet we have some things that are different so that we can bring our perspectives and share with all of you. And say hello if you want to. We'd love to see who's here joining us live and maybe share too. Has connections or friendships been a challenge or is it something that you find to be easy? And if you do have challenges, what are those? I know I've heard from some empaths that it's just that people don't understand them or understand who they are. And that can be really challenging too, because we have such a different way at looking at life. And we are so hypersensitive to energy and people's emotions that it can be more challenging to find those deeper relationship or friendships. And I hear that from other empaths. And like we've said, it's okay to have small groups of friends, not like everyone like I used to feel I had to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the reasons I felt this would be an important topic too is we're coming into the holiday season, and while this one is unique, particularly for people who are in America, my suspicion is many of us will not be getting together and doing Zoom events, different things instead, or nothing, just with our immediate family or in our homes. That being really aware of those connections right now can be important because we are only seeing so many people. So it offers you this natural way to decide who's in that inner sanctum and why. I know a lot of people have been talking about allowing people in that they feel are equally cautious in the same way that they are. So that they
Sure.
know that they're keeping the same standard with things like coronavirus. I mean, these are things to think about. And I think that's a very natural, knowing way for us as empaths and highly sensitives to step forward with that position is, do you go see your mom if she's somebody who's been out and doing everything? You don't agree with that. I think that we are able to show our value system and allow that to lead us while we're. Ooh,
Yep. Amy?
Heather, did I
Oh,
fritz
you
out?
skipped. Just for a second there.
Okay, so making decisions about who we will be around is also
Yeah.
another consideration, and evaluating what makes sense for us is, I think, a high priority right now.
I totally agree. And that is why we wanted this conversation with those of us that are celebrating Thanksgiving here in the United States. But to think about any holiday we will be experiencing during COVID and how to handle that, and you're right, who we will let in or won't let into our space. We've had conversations here with our own family about how we're going to do Thanksgiving. And I kind of got stuck in the middle with my mom. She's like, we're not coming to your house if my sister-in-laws and my brother-in-laws are coming because they work in the hospital. So I was kind of like, and I said, oh, well, you're putting me in a hard spot, but they were honoring because they're older, they're in that, more contagious age group. So I had to respect their boundaries. So, you just have to speak your truth too about who you can allow and listen and honor those of what other people say. So we've came up with a plan I feel that is good for our family. But there's so many different ways now with Zoom, like we can connect and participate in different types of groups and activities and still be connected with people that we love and want to build relationship with. It's just a little bit different right now.
Absolutely. And let that power show up, you guys, on what you really feel, whether it's with being around people just based on what's going on in our world, or even in relationships, even if you're super young, I would encourage really addressing, is this a powerful relationship? Does it uplift me? Or does it bring me down? Do we support each other, even though it might be this person has needed things for the last 3 months, but is it equal overall? And I'm supporting them as much as they support me, but we just do it in our own way, different ways. And it's not about like, well, did I support you enough? It's not insecure. It's a secure relationship. We need that because we trust at a deep level, and we let people in, I think, at a very deep level because we feel so deeply, and that's risky, right? So really knowing that person we're letting in is showing up and can communicate to some levels that are supporting that relationship, super important for us. More important, I think, than other people that are surface people.
So true. Well, and that's it too. We've talked about this. We love the deeper conversation, not the surface level conversation. So that's not everybody. So those relationships are those type of people as well. Like I know, Amy, when you and I first met, it was like right away we dug into deeper conversations. It wasn't like surface, but then you knew like this is somebody that I can continue to have a relationship with, a friendship, and build from there. So go with your gut as well. Like if you feel off with somebody, and we've talked about this before, where I've had to release some friendships that were no longer healthy. And they weren't, that isn't easy, but that's something we have to do because we just need those really healthy connections. The other ones aren't serving us in any way, right?
Absolutely, Heather, totally. And I think something else you've mentioned, I believe, on some of these conversations is about we also can attract narcissistic personality types because of who we are. They feel that and they
Yeah.
want it for themselves. They don't know how to achieve it for themselves. So they live through that mirror of us. And so being aware of relationships, like when Heather mentioned when we met, I immediately thought, I'm gonna visit what I want with this and see where I want that connection to go. And that's a healthy behavior for somebody who's empathic or highly sensitive to just dive in and be like, oh yeah, let's go for it. To be in a step back awareness of what do I feel? What do I see? What, you know, and then come to the relationship in a calm, centered way allows that relationship to really flourish, as well as allows that to be a really true and honest relationship. And just, I don't think Heather was a narcissist, but I'm like, you know, with relationships, I'll do that where I just want to check in and see, you know, what am I doing? Where am I at? Getting too excited about it, that's a red for me because I'm
Yeah.
an emotional person. I think
Uh-huh.
I might be going in too far too fast, and
Oh,
that might ruin
yeah,
the relationship. So I think, you know, sometimes being aware of those pieces can also be helpful.
that's true. And I'm one of those that goes in too fast. Like, oh, I really like them, so they're my friend.
Yeah,
So,
well, and I think that can be okay. I would say, you
but I
know,
have to be
some
careful
awareness
because,
there can help
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
because
I've
then you
had
might not
that
have to ever release the
happen.
relationship.
Yeah. Even with people in where I thought they were like in the spiritual community, and I jumped in with them because my initial feeling was it was a good connection. And then I learned, my healer even tells me that you go in believing that everyone is good. And then over time, if they show you differently, then you see maybe that there's something else going on. And so I learned from that. But that has been my pattern in life, which is not bad. That's just who I am. So I go in hard and quick with friendships, except if I can feel right from the bat right away that it's off. I'm done. Like I know to get out. So I listen to that for sure. But it's often I'm jumping in, and then later on I can see a pattern of things that maybe aren't right, and then I learn like, nope, this is not a good connection, and have to release that. So, you know, we all learn over time too how to find the right people and get rid of the ones that are not the right ones for us.
Right. Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's such an important piece to recognize who are you around. And I mean, I think too, friendships and connections can be a mirror, and we are heady,
Mhm.
wise, deep people. So that can also be a helpful thing. I mean, this is silly, but I had a computer, my screen on my laptop, the display went out, and I could only see things just barely. But then my husband helped me figure out that if I bypassed the screen and plugged my computer into a larger monitor, it actually not only projected on the monitor, it also brought my screen back to some degree. And so I said, boy, there's a message in that for me.
Yeah.
And I realized, what am I displaying that I'm not seeing? And if I add connection to this, I can see on a bigger display what's going on and clearly. So it's like we can
Really?
ask ourselves those questions in relationships too. I mean, I know that's a physical item, but I think it's a nice space to be able to look at what is happening in our life. And you don't have to get crazy with it, but I do think we can see through other relationships that we attract what's happening, and being aware of, you know, I want less of that or more of that. Um, I think it's important for us because I think we are people who by nature crave connection. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we're programmed, I think. Maybe that's not true, Heather. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I feel that way. But then there's times too where I know I need my not isolation, but I need to step away and regroup and reboot. So there's like that balance.
I think, though, for me, I would say that what I'm craving when I need to be alone is connection with myself.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like,
it. I was about to
I don't
say
think
that
it's
too.
yeah, I feel like that to me is what is maybe so frustrating for people who are empathically sensitive is the world is not set up to want connection. It's about disconnection. It's about, oh, I'm going to shame you or make you fearful because that's going to make me in control. And for me, that's been a really off-putting, gut-wrenching thing, because it doesn't make any sense to the character of who I am, and it's frustrating. It's like, how let's get over that and get to this really simple part of connection. Let me inquire and see who you are, or what trips your trigger, not what you do for a living and all these things that somehow
Yes.
in my mind justify a judgment of who you are. But tell me you're I don't know, a skier or a what, like, I'm curious to find out about what that means to you and why. And we're missing that in our society. And I think, to me, that's the connection we're looking for, is the curious about what you love.
That is so true. Yeah. Well, and Amy, we should talk about how people can connect with us if they want to.
Yeah, you guys, we kind of avoid all this, right? We forget because we get so excited about the conversation, but I'll dive in. If you're interested in doing further work, I have or getting some support in some ways on my business page on Facebook, which is Amy the Intuitive Pathfinder, PATH Finder. On that page, every day I do an intuitive reading for the energy for the day, meaning for some reason, I'm able to read energy patterns that follow astrology, but I don't follow astrology myself. They just happen to. And I'll share kind of how that might leave us emotionally for the day and ways to navigate that more powerfully. I also have a private group that's called The Glint, GLINT, Being Brave Enough to Be You, on Facebook, and you're welcome to join us there. There are all sorts of things going on there, including reading and information about intuition and kind of a support space for people. And lastly, the thing that is the major core of my business is I have a membership, but I also offer this to an individual experience. It's called the Wisdom Gathering. And the purpose of that is to bring people that are kind of highly sensitive, empathic, deep thinkers together for thought-provoking introspection as well as conversation. And there's a group reading that I do for the people who attend. And then you do some journaling off of some questions that were derived from the group, and then go into small groups to discuss it and move into the large group where we bring it out and together, if you desire to share what came along for you. And the idea there is to connect. It's for women. Make a connection for women and a space where they can show up. And I'll tell you, the last one that I held was on Sunday. And the women who showed up, some of them on Zoom left their screen that the video wasn't on. But at the very end, when we came back as a large group, everybody kept their video on the entire time. And I brought it out and I said, see, you feel seen and heard. And so you're showing up. How many Zoom calls are you on that everybody has their video on? And there were a lot of people there. It wasn't just 5. So that's incredible. And that's, I believe, how it makes women feel, is it's this, okay, I'm not alone. I got this. I'm seeing more of what I know than what I espouse that I don't know. So I'd encourage you can check out my website. It's just Amy Vasterling, my name that's posted right here, .com/wisdom-gathering, and see if that's a match for you. There's an early bird discount, and there's also a membership if that interests you instead. But you can come and check it out and then see. Thanks, Heather, for putting that up. Yeah, Heather, tell us, though, you have something really big that you're launching that everybody's excited about. So tell us.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm super excited. I was telling Amy before we got on, I am just so over the moon about this program. So I have a group program coming up in December. December 9th is when it actually starts, but there's early bird pricing on it going on right now until the end of November, November 30th. But it's called The Empath's Journey to Worthiness. And I believe what is happening and what I see is so many people want to practice self-love and self-care and all of these amazing things. But if you don't feel worthy of those practices or those understandings, you could read and do all this training around it, but it's not going to really stick. And it's not going to carry you forward into like transformation. And so I feel like feeling worthy is really the key. So that's why we're going to dig into worthiness. So really being self-accepting, self-awareness of who you are. I feel like for empaths, that can be challenging because so much about us is supporting other people. So we're really going to take time to focus on you. And when you find your worthiness, these other things that we'll talk about, like love and self-care and all those other practices, which are so amazing, will become easier. And when you do these things in your life, you're showing your children. I think all your relationships actually change. I had experienced that myself. And so I just feel so much pride and love going into this program. And I would love for anyone who feels ready to join me. And I'll put a link in here for that. And I know some of you are already in the Empath Mama group, and you're probably watching us from there. If not, if you're on our Facebook page, I'll put a link to our group. We'd love to have you in there as well. And I'll be sharing more information on different topics and themes in there, which I have been doing this month. And what else? That's probably all I want to share. So you guys find your right community of people, and it will help you feel supported. So it doesn't, I mean, if it's not us, we understand, but just know that finding those right people is just so important to, I feel, your self-esteem, to getting to know who you are, having conversations like Amy and I have in front of you and outside of this space really helps you feel supported and grow as a human. All right.
Absolutely. I totally agree, girly.
So we do have deeper conversation that Amy and I continue after this, and it is for our Patreon members. So we are going to talk further. And I thought in there we would talk about too how maybe you have been mistreated or you trusted somebody and then it came back to bite you. So how do you handle that? And then we'll talk about other things in there. So if you want more information on that, I'll put a link in here too. But I did put a few links of what Amy was mentioning with her amazing stuff that's going on. And then mine as well, I'll have to come back to add some of my links. But thank you for joining us. And we'll catch you next week for Conversation 22. And that is our perspective is a career superpower. So thanks for joining us live. Yeah, right. That's Amy's. Amy's really good at that.
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and have a good week.
See you next time.